Hi, everybody. Welcome back to SaaS Founder Stories. My name is David Brennan, and today I have Ben Phillips, who is the CEO of Eden, with me today. He's going to tell us a little bit about what he's doing and share some of the things he's learned. Welcome to the show, Ben.
Thank you so much. Really excited to be here. We have been tackling a very boring industry in very exciting ways. We decided to find an area where we could make a huge climate impact. And that for us has really been starting with what's heating and cooling homes, with the goal of controlling all of the appliances that are going into homes down the road and making it simple and easy for anybody to replace something when it breaks, and being able to sort of bring to the front of the list a number of huge energy efficient appliances that can really help save them money, save them time and refunds, and really just make the process stupid simple. So right now, if your furnace dies in the middle of winter, you're talking to a bunch of contractors and really banging your head against the wall. We help bring that all online, identify exactly what you need, and just present you with, here's the new furnace that you can install today.
Okay, cool. My furnace goes down and I'm fully connected into you guys. Go into the app and it just sets me up. How would that go? Walk me through it.
Correct. Yeah, so we make this as stupid simple on your side as possible. Literally, all you do is put in your address, and then we're able to tap into a wealth of data under the hood to be able to know more about your home than you do. My background is in real estate. I worked at Redfin for a number of years, and the amount of data that you can get from an address is sometimes shocking, but we're looking to use that in a good way in this case. Um, Pairing that with a bunch of other data sets that we also have access to really help make it so that you don't need to know anything about your home. We can just do that for you.
Super cool. I love that idea because it sounds like it's so hard as a homeowner to like really know what's going on in your house. To have all of that information there, it's pretty cool.
Our
So,
neighbors moved in and keep asking us, what is the equipment we have in our home again?
yeah, exactly. So cool, man. So obviously, who do you target? Tell me a little bit about, that process.
Yeah, so we are working with the contractors. So all of these things that I outlined for the homeowner are actually huge headaches for the contractor as well, and cause them to miss a ton of sales. And for a lot of shops, that can be the difference between life and death as a company. And
Hmm.
so we are marketing to them. We're a SaaS offering that they can put on their website and say, hey, we have pricing online. Click here, and you can find out exactly what we're going to charge you to do an install in your house.
Very cool. And then how do you attract so how does the homeowner come into the equation? You're
So
selling to the
we
contractor?
Yeah. So we have worked with the contractor to really help tie this into their process. So we're actually working with larger shops by and large, where they have a pretty large web presence already. So you have people who are already visiting their site, and then we're working with them for how to best funnel them over to our instant quote, and make it so that it's really simple for them to get plugged in. We're also seeing contractors who love the tool so much, they say, hey, if somebody calls, I want to have my front office person be able to just plug this in as they're talking to them on the phone. There's a huge gap in this industry where you need both a technical person to get the right equipment and a salesperson to actually make the sale. We help remove the entire technical portion. We handle that for them. And so then they're able to unlock many more people who otherwise would not be able to actually tell the customer what they need for this house. And so that's huge for them.
Very cool, man. So tell me about the biggest challenge you guys have overcome in the last 6 months. I'm ready to learn.
So the graveyard of this industry is go to market, and that has been pretty much from day one. We knew this was the case, and so that's been our entire focus: is how do we crack the go to market puzzle? If you're trying to sell contractor to contractor, it's very fragmented. It's all word of mouth, and they do not trust outsiders. So it's very hard to make sales. We have been very intentional around which contractors we go after. We have gone after the really big players and won them over. And what that's helped us to do is that actually, if you go one level up in this industry, there's companies that sell equipment to these contractors, and that's a much more consolidated space. And so that has allowed us to get the attention of those big consolidated players. And we solve one of their key issues, which is we have these amazing new heat pumps, other systems coming in. They're more expensive than what people have seen in the past, and our contractors do not sell them. We are able to solve that problem for them. And so we have then been able to get on their radar. We just inked our first deal with the biggest supplier in the Pacific Northwest. We're working with some of the huge California companies and some of the huge nationwide companies. So that has been a huge turning point because these guys have huge sales arms. They also have dedicated contractors who are locked in with them. And that's really helped us break the go-to-market stymie that exists in this industry.
So let me repeat that back because I just want to make sure I get it because I think this is something that's really lots of people don't think about it that way. And so I think like if you had just gone directly to the contractor, like as you said, it would blow up. But when you start to think about like who, if you can get that problem above, right? Like that where you're going into those suppliers and solve their problem and you piggyback in. Genius strategy. How'd you come up with that?
Through a lot of trial and error. I wish I could say that it was the first thing that we did, that we just knew it was right. We always knew that those players were important, but figuring out what was the message that was going to resonate with them is where we did a lot of iteration. We also had a bunch of hands in the fire to see, okay, we know that there are going to be different channels that might be able to make a difference. We're also working with a lot of marketing firms because we're a marketing spend multiplier and they are running the ad campaigns for these contractors. So that's also been useful. But just really trying a bunch of different things. And I think before all of this, making sure that we were knocking on doors and just doing the brute force, like talking to as many contractors as possible to figure out who are the key decision makers, who do they respect.
Yeah.
And it's been one where we've gone on a journey where we met a contractor early on who said, I love your product for my competitors because if they're showing their pricing online, they're going to go out of business any minute. And then we got the biggest player in his market and we ran into him again and he said, I love your product. The biggest player's using it. How do I get signed up? And so it's just one of those where, you're going to keep working and find what actually sticks. And we found that.
And so so let's break down. So once you found, I think that's really neat that you moved through it. But sounds to me like you focused first chatting with those contractors, so you really
Mm-hmm.
understood them, right?
Yep.
And so you could really understand their business, and that allowed you to see that opportunity to pair up that next level.
Yep.
And then
100%.
from there, just worked on the messaging, trying to dig into that problems that they had. Is that about right? And then use
Yeah.
that to get back down.
Yep. To really understand what that contractor problem was and what that overlap was with that next level up for how we could solve both of those.
That's incredible, man. So for you guys, what was your process? Were you calls, emails? How did you do it?
Yeah, so we tried calls, and we had a nickname for the front office dragon where you'd pick up the phone to a contractor and you just get burned, just repeatedly toasted. Um, so, we did our shot at that. These also, I mean, you run into this for each industry where you've got to know how to reach them. These people are not online. You're not going to be able to do cold emails. They're getting bombarded with a bunch of things that all look like they offer what we do and are scams. So what actually made the difference for us, and I hope others have a better solution, was literally knocking on doors, having Choco Pies that we could offer to contractors with a little message about us and being able to just be there in person in our local region first and then in other areas of the country so that it's harder to slam the door on your foot when it's already partway in the building. And that was how we were able to finally start getting those initial visits and get on people's radars. This is an industry that very much moves at the speed of trust, and being able to find that person who's going to vouch for you, that person who's going to say these guys are legit, um, meant seeing people face to face, but then figuring out that was never something that was going to scale. So how do we move off of this into something that will become repeatable and scalable down the road?
Interesting. So how long did it take you to get from trying calls, emails, that stuff? How did you come up with it? Okay, we're going to go to door to door.
So we had done probably about a couple weeks of calls, and then we had done a number of emails as well, and then had a scattering of visits that we'd also thrown into that mix. Um, we actually caught a lucky break. We were advising homeowners as well, and one of the contractors who was doing work on their project reached out to us and said, "Hey, you guys were phenomenal on this. If you ever want to talk, would be happy to connect more." And getting that first customer, where then they would intro us to other shops or be able to point to, give us that first taste of what's it going to take to get in touch with our ideal contractor, was huge for them being able to figure out, okay, this probably isn't going to be email, this probably isn't going to be calls, it's going to be in person. And how many people can we see, how quickly? We got through about 150 people in our local region in a couple months, to really iterate through that quickly. So it was a process.
That's awesome. I love it. So for you, if you could share one thing with other founders about that journey, that the big takeaway, what's your big takeaway after solving that problem?
I think that for us, there were sort of tried and true methods in this space that didn't work. And so, really being able to see how many experiments can we run and how quickly, to be able to just try a whole bunch of different methods. If the standard playbook works, that is phenomenal. I would totally go with that. But it feels like every industry is its own special snowflake, and figuring out what that recipe is for your particular industry means that you're going to have to take a standard playbook and then adjust it and adjust it and adjust it until you find out what is going to work and what is that key to unlock your space. And it's a fascinating and exhilarating process, and you get burned by a lot of office dragons along the way.
I love it. I just have a vision of you in your armor walking in to slay the office dragon to
Yeah. Step
get to
one,
the
put the
meeting.
face mask down first.
Yeah. Step two, charge.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Cool, man. Well, that's I love that you guys are just grinding it out. What's the one thing we could help with? If you could get the network to help you open up, what is it? What do you need?
So, we always love meeting with contractors. If you have a contractor you've loved working with, always happy to connect with them, spread the word about us. But we're also getting ready to go out for fundraising. So we're about to do our demo day through Alchemist Accelerator, which has been a phenomenal program. So if there are investors who want to make a difference in climate, and aren't afraid to roll up their sleeves and get into an industry that can look a little scary at first, but has huge potential, we would love to connect with them as well, and really highlight what we're doing here.
That's awesome, man. I can't wait to watch you guys smash it out of the park and way to hustle, dude. That's awesome. I love it. Love
Well,
it. Well,
really
thank you,
excited,
Ben.
and yeah, appreciate all that you've been doing here to spread the good word for how people can really help get things up and running too.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate it, and we'll have you on in another year, and you can tell us what you solve next.
Perfect.
Have a,
All right.
have
Thanks,
a good
David.
one. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Stay on for me for a